Prior session will be start soon. Before the speech, you can find the PEC-ND link in the introduction of the conference agenda on the website or OPAS app. You can make a note with the audience together. If you have any question, write down your question on Slido. After the speech, the speaker can answer your question during the Q&A session. 下个演讲即将开始，在开始之前，提醒大家可以到官网或是 OPAS App 里面的议程表、讲者介绍，点击 HackMD 进行共笔。在活动进行当中，可以在 Slido 上提问。演讲结束过后，有 Q&A session， 可以跟讲者讨论，讲者可以回答 Slido 上面的提问。So let's start. The keynote speaker we invite today is a Python community ambassador with Chesscode Digital, PyLady Czech Republic, PyCom Czech Republic. 今天我们邀请到的主讲者，他是捷克 Python 的社群大使，参与的社群包括 Chesscode Digital, PyLady 捷克、PyCom 捷克。She dedicates most of her time and energy to tech communities and focus on community operations and community buildings. 他贡献多数的时间跟精力在技术社群上面，而且专注在社群的运作以及社群的建构。Today, she would like to dive into what questions or risk an open approach may carry, and maybe even what it means for the communities to call them open. And what we can bring to organization or communities that function in the closed environment. 今天他跟我们一起会深入探讨开放的方法可能会带来什么问题或者是风险。在社群当中呢，这个封闭的环境，我们可以为这个组织或者社群做些什么 ？So let's welcome Eshkan Müller.
So I will use this one. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me for today's first session and opening the second day of COSCAP with me. My name is Eshkan Müller, and actually this is my first time being a keynote speaker. This is my first time at COSCAP. This is my first time in Taiwan and first time in Asia in general. Sort of first for me. So thanks to the organizing COSCAP team for making this happen for me. Thank you very much. So let's begin with my talk, or rather a question I'd like to open with you, which is what does it mean to be an open community? And I want to share with you my opinions on this topic. I like to give you some insight of why did I choose to speak about this. Then I will dive into some challenges which the open approach may bring to us as a community organizers. I will offer you some solutions which might be sustainable in our communities, and also have some final thoughts or questions for us all to open and think about for the future. So let's start with who am I and why I'm standing here and talk to you about communities. I've been involved in various communities, well, since I remember. When I was a kid, I was part of the RPG Players game, RPG Players group, starting with like AD&D. Then I went to live action role-playing games. And like approximately 10 years ago, I became involved in open source and in open communities in general. These 5 communities listed on the slide are those which I am part of now. Part of them being my job, because I'm lucky enough to be paid for what I love, which is working with communities. So Česko Digital, which I will refer to as Czechia Digital, which is like the direct translation. There I am community operations and community builder, and this I do for a living. Then PyLadies, this is my love and passion. I'm a lot into Python and Python communities in general, so this I do for fun. And the Czech Python community in general, I'm a big supporter and big ambassador of it. I'm trying to support all things Python. And as was previously said, I'm also a PyCon CZ organizer. And the later two, Czech community of community builders, well, this is why I'm here. I'm trying to support other community builders. And Donut Czechia, this is like economic, more economy-related community, but yet still something important in my life. So I wanted to list all those 5 here because they are a base for my talk. And I'm going to give you live examples from what I experienced in those communities. So why did I choose this topic? Over the time, I experienced that open communities in general, no matter how big they are, no matter what language they are focused on, no matter where are they based on, we may all face the same challenges. And we all heard multiple talks and maybe read multiple papers about why the open approach is good, why we can benefit from it. But I also think that it might be beneficial for us to share the rather complicated parts of the open approach, the challenges we face, so we can learn from each other and maybe find some altogether solutions so we don't have to, find them alone. So this is why I chose this topic, focused on challenges of the open approach in open communities. At the beginning, I'd like to introduce you more to 2 specific communities I'll be using as an examples, so you know more about what I'm talking about when I mention these specific communities. So first, Czechia Digital. This one was a founded community. So it was founded by 3 people 5 years ago with a specific purpose to help NGOs and public administration in Czechia to better use digital technologies efficiently in solving like society-wide problems and therefore help people in Czechia to live in a better place. And with this single purpose, they founded a small NGO. There's 13 of us with that NGO. We are a supporting NGO for a big technical community. We have technical experts there, technical volunteers. We have people from NGOs there and people from public administration. And all together, we guide NGOs and public administration organizations through the process of digital transformation. And by we, I mean the community, because the 13 people in the organization who are employed there are only supporting or making strategic decisions, but the community, the technical volunteers, are those who are making the impact. But to sum it up, what's specific about this community? It was founded 5 years ago. It didn't start organically. It was founded. It has supportive paid team. It's fully online, and it's quite big. We have like more than 6,000 members right now. So really like big community, and we live on Slack. So this is something which is like specific for this particular community. And then there are PyLadies, another love of mine, and this is like totally different community. PyLadies are international mentorship group. It's fully volunteered. We are located in different cities, different countries around the world. I am part of our small local chapter in Brno, which is the 2nd largest city in Czechia. PyLadies also have like single mission or single purpose, and it's to bring more women into IT, being active contributors in the open source world. And we use Python for that because it's easy to learn, and it's like it's a good first language to learn when you're coming into IT. And we also built a safety net or some kind of like supportive network for women so they feel welcome in this still mostly men world. What is specific about PyLadies, on contrary to Czechia Digital? First, in Brno it started organically. It didn't start it as let's do PyLadies, but we just started a mentorship group, and then we found out that there is something like PyLadies mentorship, so we became a part of that, started organically. We do mostly in-person events because we are heavily in need of building these interpersonal relationships, and we weren't able to do that online. So it wasn't founded, it's in person, it's really small. It's like 30 people maybe in Brno. I forgot what's the last thing, sorry. But it's like really totally different from Czechia Digital. Yeah, it's fully volunteered, sorry, so no paid people there. Yet, these two totally different communities I'm involved in have really similar troubles, and I want to continue with that. Because what I found out is, and let me emphasize, the word open might bring the most troubles in the open communities. Because, I mean, all the communities being open or closed environment face like lost in interest, leaving people from the communities, stuff like that. But what is the common troubles for us, people from the open world? The word open brings it all, because it's just the word, right? It's not being open or not being open, it's a scale. It's a scale of the openness, which may cause some troubles which are specific to the open communities to face. And therefore, I've chosen 5 specific challenges the open approach can bring to us. First, I'm going to go through the challenges, explain why it is a challenge, or it may be a challenge for us, and then I'm going to offer you some solutions. So first, open for everybody. Why is that a challenge? Well, because like all of us, really want our communities to be open for everybody, like have this like really low barrier for people to join us, have this welcoming atmosphere, have like things to do for people. But is it really for everybody? Do our communities benefit for being that much open? For Czechia Digital, it was the case that over, like since the beginning, the first 4 years of existence, we were so happy that people are interested in helping digitization in Czech Republic. They were like, yeah, come, everybody, join us. We can find a purpose for you. We can find stuff for you to do. And like, let's build a better digitalized Czechia together. But then we faced troubles because we had, for example, open data specialists to join us, but we didn't have any project focused on open data. So we're like, so let's do a project about open data. And then Python programmers were joining us. So we're like, okay, but we don't have anything Python related, so let's do something Python related so these people find purpose in our community. And then again and again. And then we ended up with like 30 different projects focused on 30 different areas and having no impact at all because we had no focus. Our projects were done based on the community needs, but not based on our target group needs. So we were like, okay, so maybe this really open approach to accommodate everybody in our community is not the best for us because we were supposed to make a change in digitization in Czechia, and now we are just finding a way how to, get people involved with no real impact. So we really had to think about what on the scale of being open is the best way for our community to thrive. And then with PyLadies, it's just in the word, right? PyLadies. Does it mean that we are open for everybody? We actually are, because PyLadies are open for people of all genders. But our purpose is to create a safe space for ladies to get involved into IT. So ladies are our primary target group. But when you see, for example, the Brno PyLadies chapter, it's 50-50, 50 men, 50% men, 50% women, with all the same mission to help women to get involved in IT. So in our activities we do for the newcomers, we try to have more women than men, so we still create the safe space for women to feel welcome and don't be afraid to ask questions, because that's actually the main trouble, people not asking questions. And therefore, yes, we are open for everybody, but we have our primary group. So it's really about the scale of being open. So I like to bring up this question: what is the level of openness in our communities from which our communities may thrive best from? And then there is like open communication, and you may see that I have it twice on my slide because it has two meanings. The first one, open communication, is more about the interpersonal communication and supporting the open communication culture in your communities. Because it's about not being afraid to tell your opinion to others, speak openly, speak freely, but there is like just a small difference between being open or communicate openly and being rude. So when you want to foster open communication in your community, is it okay for you to maybe set up some boundaries or some rules? Does it limit our openness in that way? Are we still open if we set up some rules for the communication? So it also might be a challenge, or it may cause some disagreements in the community if it's okay to, you know, set up some rules regarding the communication in our community. Is it still open for everybody? Well, let's see. The next one is open code. And by this, I mean mostly licensing. I know it's a boring topic, but yet every FOSS conference has at least 2 or 3 talks about licensing because it's important. Why this might be a challenge for us? I give you an example from Czechia Digital, because we work mostly with NGOs and public administration organizations. And they do care about the output of our cooperation, which usually is some digital product. They do not care about the license. We do. We want them to have the code open, but they are the copyright owners, right? So they should be the ones who are saying which license the code should be under. But they don't understand the licensing, but we don't want to push them to use anything like that. And there might be, if you have like several product owners and several technical people who are kind of like mentoring them, there might be disagreements on which licensing is good for what. So this also might cause problems for us, because it's again a scale of openness we wanna stay on. And really troublesome, open access to data. I discussed this with Czechia Digital because it was a real trouble for us. We found ourselves into, because this community grew really fast over time. So if your community is in a situation like started small and grew rapidly, maybe you might face the same challenge. Because when Czechia Digital started, it was like a small group of people working on one project. And they all knew each other. So they just made some shared documents, made some shared database, and they started working together. But then Czechia Digital grew, and over COVID, it grew from hundreds to thousands of people. And 4 years later, we found ourselves in like 35 Google Drives on our Google Workspace. Our Airtable had like, I don't know, maybe 50 bases with like different accesses to for different people. And most of the people weren't already active in the community, but they still had an access to the data. So it's like a huge security risk, because we didn't know what's on that Google Drives, what's in the databases, who owns what, who has access to what. And we were like, oops, how did it even happen? And it really causes a severe security risks to the data you as a community people guarantee to somehow make safe. So think about it. If your community is facing something like this, it might be a challenge because you still want to have like open access to data because you want your people not to limit the resources or stuff like that. But it might be a big risk. And then open communication again. And this one, I mean like more the communication of important informations towards your community members. With PyLadies, we suffered with not being able to find a space where we can maintain the open communications with our community. We tried several different tools, from Slack, from, I don't know, Telegram channels, stuff like that, like multiple. But people weren't like reading it at all. We didn't know what's happening, like why we are not able to find some source where to maintain the open communication. With Czechia Digital, it was totally opposite problem. As I mentioned, we lived on Slack. And it's more than 6,000 of us. The Slack had more than 100 open channels with more than 30 projects still going on. And there was a huge traffic. And our newsletter was like 1 mile long because we wanted to present everything we do to all to the community and to the world. So nobody was at the end reading it because it was too much information. And we were not able to get the information we need to the people we need to get the information at the time we need the people to get the information. And in Slack, it got totally lost in traffic because, of course, we had announcement channel there, but everybody was posting to it because, like, we had all these projects and stuff like that. So it was really for us to make the open communication efficient in both of these communities. We struggled a lot with that. So let's face on some tips for the sustainable solutions. The first one, for me, is understandable mission and vision, and it targets the openness for everybody. Because when you state your mission and vision clearly, and it's based on not only something which is written on the website, but it's faced also in your actions, then it's really about people who want to join your community to assess if this is the right place for them. And then you might not end with people who don't know, who would like to contribute and don't know how to end up in the community, because they should be able to assess this based on your mission and vision and to-dos you are living in your community. It shouldn't be just something which someone wrote one night because he couldn't sleep and then stated it on the website. It should be really collaborative effort from your community to put the mission and vision together with the strategic focus on what your impact should be, and then really live that. And then you can explain to people who are joining your community that this is your mission and vision and target, and if they want to contribute to that, you are the ones using, you are the ones doing the strategy decisions, not them. I mean, it sounds harsh a bit, but still, our community usually have some purpose, and we want to achieve something. Of course, we want to accommodate everybody in our community, but everybody who has the same focus as us. So it's actually the only sustainable solution I would able to think of, and this is how we do it with PyLadies and with Czechia Digital. The second one is also targeting the open for everybody, but also the open communication culture, and it is value-based code of conduct. Sometimes I hear that code of conducts are not important in communities because, I mean, we all know that we should behave nicely to each other. But it's not the purpose of code of conduct. The purpose is to create another thing for the safe environment for the community people, and to create another source of information about the community. And if the code of conduct is based on the values your community have, it again may help the people to understand what is expected from them when they are joining the community, and what they can expect when they join the community. So it's like mutual thing, and it can help you a lot when the code of conduct is really based on your community purpose and your community values. And of course, when it's based on the values, it's much easier for people to adopt the code of conduct and to follow what is written there in their daily livings. I also touched the open code. And for me, the solution was actually a support of the people who should be the ones choosing the license. So you may do some pre-selections for the people who should be choosing the licensing. You can have recommendations for them, but you should support those people, explain them what's the difference in the licensing and why they may benefit from which license. And it's really about education of those people. We should be able to, help everybody in the open environment to understand what's good, what's better, how they can thrive. So with licensing is the same. I was talking about data security and data safety, and I gave you an example from Czechia Digital. What we did when we had this tremendous amount of data and information which were randomly permissioned to access, is that each source of information was given to some person as their responsibility, and that person should do regular permission checks to know who has access to the data, why do they have access to the data, and if they still need it. If it's shared responsibility, it doesn't work. You can't say we all are the team, we have this data, let's do some regular checks. If it's shared, it's always everybody else's problem. So no, have a single person responsible for the data source, do regular checks. It's not about forbidding people to access the data, but you should know who has access to what and why. And then you are able to say, yes, we are doing it right, we are able to guarantee that we are doing it securely and safely. I know it's a lot of work, but I tend to say that it's necessary to do so. And regarding the efficient communication, this might not sound like a good practice, but we actually incorporated more communication channels. Usually I say more tools is not a better solution, but regarding the informations when you need to get them to people, it might actually work. Because with Czechia Digital we're using Slack for everything, and Slack is not a tool which is particularly good in sharing important information because it just got lost in the traffic. So we decided to use Slack for the project purpose only. We limited the amount of channels, we reduced it from 100 to 30 or something like that. So we have only project channels there. We took away all the general discussion and put it on the internet, on the open discussion forum based on discourse. So we're now even more open with our information, because people don't have to register to Slack to read it. They can read it freely on the internet. So general discussion regarding digitization in Czechia is now open for us. And we radically redesigned our newsletter. So it's now only having the important headlines for what happened or is happening in the upcoming month. So it's 10% of the previous amount of text, and people are actually reading it. Yay! And we have a lot of information which should be on our website previously on our website. So more information channels in our case really led us to more efficient information, yet we stay open with the communication. And with PyLadies, we actually finally find some channel which was actually existent. So not all the time it is something you have to find for yourselves. We found out that there is a public Discord for Python community of Czech and Slovakia. We joined that Discord and it's now working. And also more our local groups of PyLadies are joining the Discord. So sometimes it's not about you having the best tool, but maybe use someone else's tool because it may work for you as well. And I know that so far I touched mostly the challenges of open communities. But at the beginning, I was talking about also that we all know that open approach is good. And this is also something I experienced over the past years with the open communities. Because with Czechia Digital, as I mentioned, we work mostly with NGOs and public administration organizations in Czechia. And they are not really famous for being like following an open culture, let's say. It's really competitive environment in both NGOs and public administration. They tend to work in their own silos and not to cooperate. And we really believe in cooperation in Czechia Digital. So we try to bring those people to one table and show them how communication, cooperation, and like working together might help them all. And then, for example, we did a mastermind session with 3 people from business, 3 people from NGOs, 3 people from public administration, and 3 of our volunteers. And the outcome was that they really found out that they all share the same troubles. And when they share their thoughts about it, then they might find the solution which works for all of them, and they wouldn't think about it alone. So based on these examples, we really try to inspire other organizations which might be working in predominantly closed environments to think openly and to accommodate the open approach to the daily living so they really might benefit from it. And with PyLadies, it's actually really surprising how many people are still in awe that all our materials are free to use. And that maybe when they share something with others, it also might help them to create better outcomes and outputs. So I've been living in open environment or open culture for like many years now. I thought that it's like normal. It's normal for everybody to think like that. It's normal for everybody to share their thoughts. I mean, we all heard that sharing is caring, right? But people are not living there. And when we live it, and when we show it to people, we really can inspire others. So, I mean, let's think about it and let's inspire with our communities. This is the end of my talk, but I'd like to not only encourage you to ask questions, but I'd love to hear your stories. If you have any experience with any challenge or any solutions for a challenge you had over the past time with your communities, or if you have any questions regarding the community openness, so feel free to discuss. I'm here for you. Oh, we have only one working mic. Yeah, but we need for the recording, so.
Okay, since I'm some interested in about your work, since you work for NGO, right? So when you work for NGO, you must work on site, or you can still work remotely.
I do work remotely, mostly because, I mean, one thing we try to learn, we try to teach people is to work in digital environments. So first things we teach them is to work in the remote first environment and work asynchronously. It might be a challenge, but this is kind of like a necessary step for our work. So we try to work remotely, and I personally work remotely all the time. Yeah.
Okay, so you must travel a lot of countries.
I did not travel that much actually, but we're trying to have for other NGOs we support when they need that. We try to have volunteers from different parts of the country, but so far we learned that COVID helped us a lot. You know, I know it's bad to say it out loud, but with the adoption of the digitization, it was really a huge step forward.
Okay, since there's a new term about the digital romance, you know that digital romance. It means that people can work anywhere. Maybe can work in Pattaya, work in some islands, work in some place for pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
And he work and they have fun there. So do you think this is a real? Can we really do it? Do like this? Yeah. For living?
I have no idea. Actually, I have no idea. Sorry.
Okay. Thanks.
It's weird. It's happened several times. Okay. One question from Slido. Can you share more about you find the core value to set out in your code of conduct?
So the question is about the core values in our code of conduct. We actually did some research among our community because we wanted our code of conduct to be really based on what our community is about. So at first, we did the research about the common values. We actually find 5 of them. It's the openness, professionalism, collaboration, efficiency, and usefulness. I'm going to explain a bit because when I say it like this, it's just the words, right? So again, as with open, we can understand it all differently. So for us, it was the openness almost in every aspect of what we do. But with professionalism, it was like we are a big community with people from like totally different areas with different levels of expertise. So we all try to behave professionally among each other. We try to respect others' opinions, no matter the level of expertise or the field they come from. And it's necessary for the collaboration part. So we foster a collaboration not only within the teams, but also across the teams and across the whole community. And as I already mentioned, even outside of the community, so to inspire others to collaborate. With efficiency, it's mostly about resources for us because we are funded by private companies who gave us their money to support whatever we do. They just trust us that we use their money wisely. They are not funding a specific project. They are just funding our community. And our volunteers, they give us the most precious things they have, which is their time and their knowledge. So the efficiency for us is about not to wasting any of these resources, nor the money, nor the time, nor the knowledge and expertise of our volunteers. And regarding the usefulness, this one is more about outputs of our work. Because, I mean, we take human-centered design really seriously. It's not only about the products or digital projects should be useful for the end user. But as we work with NGOs and with public administration, and they are, at least in Czechia, not really famous for being digitally educated. Well, we have a long way ahead in that. We use, for building the digital products, we usually use no-code or low-code platforms because it's easier for them to administer it and to use it than it would be if it would be built on like a green field, like from zero, from scratch. So the usefulness is really most about outputs of our work. So these values were put together from within the community, and they are the base of our code of conduct, which is clearly behave professionally because we really need that, and that's how we did it. And I mean, when we put the code of conduct together, and I was the one creating it, it took quite a long time because I put together these values, description of these values and how they can translate to the daily life of the community. And then I put it to the community so they can leave their comments, because we are trying to find, the right wording for everybody to understand and for everybody to feel that it's really speaking to them. So it took like 1 month or 2 months to put it all together. But then we can really say that the code of conduct is based on what the community is living. Did I understand the question?
I guess so. And next question is, an open community where how many resources and share, how can order to be maintained without placing too much pressure on any particular individual in change?
Oh wow, that's a tough one. Yeah, I mean, this is really something which is challenging. So, for example, in Czechia Digital, we had our Wikipedia, which was put together by the volunteers. And as many of these resources, it tends to, get older and the informations are no longer valid. And when you want to maintain such a thing, it's a huge burden. So we actually decided to put away the Wikipedia so we don't have to maintain it, because I mean it would be a lot of pressure to individuals to make it. So I mean this really helps. It might be a good source for maybe non-tech contributors in your community. If they want to participate somehow, maybe they could be the ones who are maintaining the information resources. Maybe they might be the ones who would be responsible for the data sets or data resources, and it would be their way to contribute. And I know I mentioned that it shouldn't be a shared responsibility, but in such case, when there is a volunteer, you might have a tandem of people, but really try to limit the amount of people who are taking care of that. But yeah, for non-technical contributors, this might be a good way how to contribute to the community.
Thank you. It's really hard for organize one team, especially for this pressure.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have so many questions, so we try our
wow,
best.
Thank you, thank you. And there is also a live question.
Okay, one first, okay.
Okay, so when many people with different background join the community may fragment it into multiple small groups. So how did you do to keep people staying together?
We try to, even for Czechia Digital, when they tend to be fragmented around projects, and they tend to, stick with the people they know. We try to do some common stuff for the community altogether. So, for example, when you have a project team, there are specific roles, right? So we may try to do some programs, some event or whatnot for all Scrum Masters. So they tend to, they then cooperate across the whole community. And we do some yearly gatherings. We have birthday celebration of our community, which informal event where we try to kind of overcome these boundaries done by the projects and to foster the overall community spirit in the whole community. But yeah, I agree, it's tough when you have small goals within the community and people tend to create small groups, but yet our way is to try to prepare some content or some events, be it online or offline, it really doesn't matter, for bigger purpose than it's the small one within the small group. Thank you for the questions, really good one, thank you.
Okay, when you are talking about how to solve the problem of open source problem, and you say that can set some people to do permission check, but how to find they to do this job or some regulations? Can you talk about this?
Sorry, could you repeat the question again? Really, I didn't get the point.
And how to you to do the permission checks? Oh, okay. 就是要怎么做那个 permission check?
How do you do the permission check if the team member in your group?
Okay, cool. Well, what we really did at it was what we really did at first was that we reduced all the access for all the people. And then we say out loud to the community, okay, so we did it like reset of the permissions. Nobody has it right now, only the owners of the specific tools. If you need it, ask for it again. So then we had like this clean slate and we could guarantee that who we are giving access to. So the one person who is responsible for the specific tool knows who is he or she giving the access. That person have a list of accesses and do like monthly regular checks with those people who have accesses or who ask for them. And it's also important when you have one person specifically responsible for one tool that nobody else is giving accesses to that tool. So we really keep the permissions within one person. And of course, it may happen to me that I need someone from my team to access marketing data. And I also have permissions to give the rights to that person. But I am not an owner of the marketing data set. So I'm going to the person who is responsible for that and say, please give access to the specific person because I need it for what reason. It's really challenging to maintain it like that. But I mean, to keep the data safe and secure, we just need to make this compromise and do this hard work for that. Did I understand your question? Yeah. Okay, cool, thank you.
I take one and another question. What's your suggestion to encourage a non-male group to be more active in the community if there's no specific group for them?
Oh, wow. I mean, I have never actually faced like this situation, so I'm not really sure how to approach that. But I would try to create really like welcoming, like set out a really welcoming message for the people from other genders, that they are welcome in this community, and maybe try to make a step ahead and prepare the communication just targeted to those specific genders we would like to have in our community, and maybe try to find someone from within the existing community members who would like to adopt this specific task and be kind of like walking example of, yeah, I'm the person, I'm like non-male contributor to this community, and it's good for me because, like, you know, have these figures on public to be those living examples of how is it good. I mean, this is something we are actually trying in Czechia right now, because, funny story, when we had the European Union presidency in Czechia a year ago, we got really not a nice message from European Union Parliament that we don't have many women in IT in general. Because European Union average is like 20% women in IT sector. In Czechia, it was like 10%, so we really, yeah, it's really bad. So even the Czech government came with like that we need to change the mindset of people in IT, that it's not a preliminary male world, and we have to, you know, find these superstars, like female superstars, and put them as an example to young girls and young women, so they see that it's not only about men doing this stuff. So really, it's mostly about us being visible and share the message that the open source world is for non-male people, and that we welcome them, and that we can be successful in the communities and share our stories. That's what I would try.
Thank you so much for your answer. I think it's really helpful for Taiwan too. And Speedy, we still have some questions we'd like to answer, but we just have a few time. So maybe Anushka can answer later. If you ask question, can come here to ask her, and we need to let our session continually. So thank you so much for Anushka, and we would like a small gift from our organizer, Yan Yan. Yeah, you're welcome. Let's go to the center, please.
This is my social media, so if you have any questions I didn't answer, if you have any question I didn't answer, just find me on Mastodon or wherever, and I'll be happy to stay in touch. And thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy the speech today. And next session will be start at 10 o'clock, so we'll come back later. Thank you.